fights this week? Oh, man, we got to have some fights.
Welcome to the Cage Match, the first episode ever. This is where we collide with our opinions and ideas you may not like, but it's okay, because we don't care. That's how it's gonna go. Ooh, yeah. Welcome.
Oh, yeah.
And I have my co-host, Asylum.
What's up, Savage? You ready for this first episode ever?
Yes, I am. Oh, the echo's still on. I am ready. I'm ready for this. It's a long time coming. Here's the actual show. Welcome to the Cage Match. This is a show that we put together where we say our opinions, mostly opinions that are unpopular opinions. That's what we do here. Because as also true Raider fans, you know, we like to be very optimistic, objective, and like a lot of Raider fans, we just like to piss people off. Oh, yeah. What about you? How you doing, Asylum?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Like you said, long time coming. I guess it's time for our shameless plugs. You know, go to our YouTube channel, The Cage Match. Subscribe, like the video, comments. We're going to try to do this all. Right now, I think we're on Facebook and YouTube, so hopefully
that's what we're doing.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, you know, just I'm ready for the new season, and football comes back this weekend. The Hall of Fame game. I don't know who's playing yet. I don't really care. My Raiders ain't
versus
playing.
Jets.
Browns and Jets.
I believe so.
Yeah, I'll just watch it because it's football. We got no Hall of Famers going in this weekend either. But yeah, so we'll have our game next weekend against our old Bay Area rivals. So they're coming to Las Vegas. But we'll start talking about that next episode. Are you ready to go into the first question?
Let's go to the first question.
All right.
You ready?
Okay, here's the first question. We're going to do a lot of what ifs, do a lot of crazy scenarios. The first one is, can the new number 4, which is Aiden O'Connell, could he have a similar path like the last number 4? Are we allowed to say his name? Are we allowed to say his name still?
On this show, we can say his name. Once a Raider, always a Raider, except for 3. Except for 3, it's once a Raider, always a Raider.
Yes, just like Derek Carr, our quarterback from the last 9 years. So what do you think? Do you think that there's a possibility that Aiden O'Connell can come up like Carr did, starting his start week 1 in his rookie year, surpass Garoppolo just like Carr did when he surpassed Matt Schaub? What do you think?
Honestly, I mean, if you think any rookie quarterback can't do it, when Carr started, he was not supposed to be the starter. It was supposed to be Schaub. He was supposed to sit behind Schaub and then go. And in training camp, he started beating them out. Then during the preseason games, beat them out. So it's always possible. It's always possible. And then the little I've heard about O'Connell, about his timing, his accuracy, his predicting, you know, where the receivers are supposed to be and having the ball there when the receiver, you know, gets out of his he's supposed to be doing great at that right now. And in all honesty, for that part of the question, I think he can do it. It's possible. I mean, Jimmy G's coming off an injury. I know they're taking it easy. He's missed, 2 practices because they're trying to take it slow on his recovery. So, you know, who's to say one wrong step and that injury don't come back? One wrong step. I mean, Jimmy's got all the pressure on him. O'Connell don't.
Yeah, and it's just like in 2014, You know, Carr was drafted in 2014. He was, going to be the future. But we had Dennis Allen was the head coach at the time in his second year. Just like McDaniels, he's in his second year. We weren't too sure how Dennis Allen was going to be, because he had a shaky first season, just like McDaniels. I just think it's funny, like the path looks so similar. There's been hype about O'Connell in training camp that all his throws are good. He's studying. He's looking good. And, you never know. Like you say, yeah, Jimmy G, they're keeping it easy on him.
Looking at the stats, they're coming out of college. They're similar. Carr was better in some aspects. O'Connell's better in others, but their percentage for their percentages are identical. 66.7 coming out of college. Carr threw for more yards. Average yards was slightly higher for Carr. Average yards, Carr. But when you're playing with Devontae Adams, you're gonna have some of these higher stats. O'Connell's coming out of Purdue, which was I believe a higher in college that's Pac-10 or whatever it is, and I probably got that wrong. People are going to fucking get all over my case on that, but whatever. And Carr coming out of Fresno State, but when it counts, attempts they're close, completions they're close. I mean, O'Connell has less attempts, less completions, and still has the same completion percentage that Carr did coming out of college.
Yeah, so, and I think. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that being said, O'Connell's been doing it with less. Coming out and with no pressure, he knows he's supposed to be sitting. He can go out there and just blow up training camp, and then it's going to be a decision. Who do we start? Or knock on wood, nothing happens. I don't wish injury on nobody. What happens if Jimmy Garoppolo hurts that foot? And now, now we got to go.
Yeah,
he'll beat out Hoyer, I think, easily. I think he could beat out Hoyer. I know Hoyer's got the what do you call it? The experience in McDaniel's system. But if it's between Hoyer and O'Connell, it's by week 3, O'Connell starting.
I mean, that's it's funny how none of us even talk about Brian Hoyer, and he's been with the I think he had like 2 or 3 stints with the Patriots under McDaniels. So, I mean, I think that O'Connell can easily surpass Brian Hoyer at least to the number 2 in the depth chart. Jimmy Garoppolo, his only issue has always been staying healthy.
Injuries.
Yes, I don't think he has finished a full season when he was a starter with the 49ers. So,
no, I don't think so either. Now they say McDaniel's system is built for that, and he should be able to stay healthy because it's quick throws, quick reads, stuff like that. It's built for a quarterback to stay healthy. I mean, technically, unless he fell at Brady's feet, Brady stayed healthy for the most part in that system. But
yeah,
in the end,
Brady only got hurt that one. I think it was the 2010 season on the first game of the season when he got hit in his knee, and that's when we had the rule where you can't hit a quarterback underneath his under his waist. That's considered a flag. Yeah. So, I mean, they say that this offense is designed to protect the quarterback.
But as you know, it's a foot injury. All you gotta do is cut the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then that injury comes back. We don't know if it was a Liz Frank. They never specified what the injury was. And running backs get Liz Franks, and going, but he had surgery, everything going. It cut wrong. Somebody steps on his foot. How many times we went offensive? You've done this. How many times have you stepped on a quarterback's foot?
I mean, just in general, you step back, you don't know. the quarter, an offensive lineman's foot, coming around the pocket, the running back behind trying to come up to, as an up back
Make a
blocker.
cut.
Yeah, like you never know. You could just step on it wrong just on the way when you go and take your drops for the pass. Uh, that's really the only thing. And then the missed time in practices, during training camp, that's more time for O'Connell to showcase anything. I mean, you never know. I don't think that he'll get a chance to start, even if he does look better, because everything, you know, eh, it's basically penned in that Garoppolo is going to be the starter since he has the experience with this offense, and O'Connell is just a rookie, but
But they said the same thing about Matt Schaub, though. He got traded for to be the starter. Carr was supposed to sit behind. I agree with you, though. If he's healthy, Jimmy G starts the season.
yeah,
And then if Jimmy G starts the season, I honestly think he's got 4 or 5 weeks. If he's not doing good in 4 or 5 weeks, they're going to be looking for somebody else. This is make or break for McDaniels in going. He's going to have to sit there and make sure they go. And if they lose the first 4, he's going to be looking. He's going to be looking, to make a thing because he don't want to lose his job.
like it happened in Denver.
Yeah.
Okay, well here's a bonus little question. Carr is no longer with the Raiders. We kept saying that all Carr needed was a decent defense, because he was scoring points, but it's hard to keep trying to score points when the defense keeps giving up scores. How do you think Carr would do in the Saints?
Well, the Saints defense, I think, is better than ours has been. I mean, 2016, Carr's best season. What do we have? We had 2 things: offensive line and a defense. I believe it was at least the top 15, if not even higher.
Decent defense, yeah. Under Jack Del Rio.
With Jack Del Rio. That's the thing. Carr was known, I believe, since 2014. He had the most comeback wins of any quarterback in the NFL. Now, how do you get that? It's because you're always behind.
Yeah.
And when you're always behind, coming back with for overtime because the defense is giving up a score. How many games last year did we score, take the lead, and the defense just give it right back?
Yes, within the 2-minute warning.
Within the 2
minutes. Have
minutes.
no timeouts and we got to go the full length or 80 yards or 75 after the touchback or whatever it is. We have to go down the field, the length of the field.
Have to march down the field and go. Now, granted, was there bad throws? Was there everything? Yeah, I mean, that shit happens. But when you constantly are putting it on the quarterback's shoulders like that because your defense couldn't hold the lead, I mean, how many times? We'll go last year again. 2 years ago, we won every overtime game that we went into.
Yeah.
Last year, we didn't win it. We didn't win a single overtime game, if I remember correctly, that we went into. Every time that there was time on the clock, I mean, yes, some stupid penalties, or just the defense, they would let them march down the field. It didn't matter who the team was. The defense just could not stop the offense and would give up plays, and we would lose that game. We should have a better record last year than we did, strictly off of if the defense would have just done their job and held them. How many times did we go into halftime with the lead, come out of halftime, and couldn't hold shit?
I mean, there was the KC game where we were up on them. There was the Cardinal game where we had a shutout. I mean, there's a lot of talk of what happened last year, or the play calling. Was there some kind of was McDaniels holding back the playbook? And I know that Derek Carr was on a whole new system, which I think is one of the things that I don't know. We were a playoff team 2 years ago, and then last year we fell, and we had just about the same players, just a whole new system, and we added a dynamic receiver. So I don't want to speculate or say, that McDaniels did it on purpose to make Carr look bad so he can get rid of him. I'm not going to say that. It's kind of like when Gruden took over the Raiders in '98. We had a quarterback named oh man, I just forgot his name. Jeff George. Jeff George was the quarterback, and Gannon came in '98, and he used Jeff George. In the following year, he replaced Jeff George, which was for the most part a fan favorite because he had the deep ball. He just wasn't that intelligent up top. And we brought in Gannon, who was a short yard passer coming from KC, West Coast quarterback, which Gruden wanted, and Gruden, made him a top quarterback, and eventually, not under Gruden, but eventually he became an MVP. So I don't know, maybe it could be like a similar situation with Garoppolo coming in, because of a new coach, wanted a different quarterback. I don't blame a lot of the losing seasons, that's Carr's fault in the last 9 years. But, we don't know what happened last year. Last year was such a weird season, how everything happened, all the leads that we gave up and just, all the optimism that we had going in, just, it just kind of faded away and we just were confused and trying to figure out what was going on this season. But I think that's a good segue going into the next question. Are you optimistic or discouraged on McDaniel's second season as head coach?
Okay, well, this is a tough question if you want to be honest, because simply how long we've been Raiders fans. I said what was in the pregame. I was a 17-year season ticket holder. How many games did I go to watch them lose? I have to be optimistic. I have to be optimistic. This is a second year going. This is more of his guys, on the team. I know I'm preluding to another one of our questions and shit coming up, but still, he's got more guys that are his. I'm a Raiders fan. We're optimistic before the start of the season every damn year. It doesn't matter who our coach is, who our players are. I mean, we were optimistic with Jamarcus Russell. I mean, come on. But when it comes down to it, I don't want to have a losing season. I want to be optimistic. Yes, everybody wants Raiders to be crap, so we get rid of McDaniels. To me, it's worth getting to a Super Bowl. I don't care who the coach is, as long as he can do his fucking job. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I feel like that character in Major League 2, was it Randy Quaid out in the stands? You guys suck. Yeah. What are you doing? Da, 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 da. I feel like him. It's like, what is this lineup you're putting out there? You got all these guys. I mean, one of the receivers we picked up from free agency threw the game-winning touchdown interception to I forget. Oh man, and the overtime loss to the Raiders. You know what I'm talking about? Jacoby Myers. Yeah. Another Patriot. Yeah. And
that might have been foreshadowing, though. He might have known what was going to go happen and shit, so he wanted to help his new team out.
We heard you needed a new quarterback. Here we go. But when McDaniels first got hired before last season, I was not a fan of the hiring because of what he did in Denver and what some of the players. Yeah, and what some of the players did. Said after the fact, who was part of those teams, the teams that he coached in Denver. So when they hired him, I thought it wasn't a best move because I know we were searching for a head coach. We had Bisaccia was the interim taking over Gruden. But I thought if he wasn't going to keep him, that you would try to find a head coach who ran a similar system so it wouldn't be such a transition to the next season and try to build off of that playoff season that we had. And I know, I've heard arguments that, well, they're not really a playoff season because they got lucky in a lot of wins. But like they say, you are who your record is, and they made it to the playoffs and they almost beat the Bengals. So who were the eventual AFC champions. So I would.
And look at all the controversy we had that year. We weren't even
Yes.
supposed to be able to make the playoff. We were supposed to tank after Gruden's, things, after the rug thing. Most teams couldn't even have done that. Yet we had an interim head coach. The team rallied.
Yeah. With no head coaching experience.
And the team rallied, and then bam, here we are in the playoffs. Here we are, yeah, we lost to the Bengals. At least we lost the team that made it to the Super Bowl. If you're going to lose to a team, at least it's that way. But it's still just one of those, we weren't exposed to. And then, we go to the next year with the playoff team with a lot of things. In all honesty, I think McDaniels wanted Carr out anyways. In that situation, he gave him a chance. Carr's future was in his hands. Was he done dirty at the end of the year? Yes, I believe we both agree with this one. He should have at least been able to play those last 2 games and end his career the way he wanted to with the Raiders. Stidham didn't do any better.
And he's not with the team no more either, Stidham.
Yep, he's not with the team anymore. He's actually with McDaniel's old team.
Yeah.
But in the end, we got porn star Jimmy, which he probably knew the system better than Stidham. Knows it better than probably Hoyer. Well, maybe not Hoyer. Hoyer, like I said, I think he had 3 stints, but still, Jimmy, if you look at his overall record, he is a winner, in that aspect. He just can't stay healthy. With the West Coast, in the West Coast offense, it's not always about the deep ball. It's dink and dunk, take what you can get, and let your receivers and running backs, do what they do best.
Yeah, short passes are the same thing as a run. That's what the West Coast offense is like. Short passes to compensate for the run, and then you go deep, or not go deep, but then you kind of stretch the field a little bit. But speaking of Jimmy G also had a lot of teams that he was on with top 10 defenses. So, this is one of those seasons. This is one of those seasons where we're going to see all the what ifs and everything. What if Carr had a defense, or we're going to see how he'll play in New Orleans? Jimmy G.
Yeah.
We're still building a defense. The defense could come out of nowhere and surprise us.
The defense is better this year. You have to admit, defense is better this year. We've made some key replacements in certain positions. I'm interested to see how our first round draft pick Wilson does. Being able to have a quarterback sandwich with the quarterback as the meat. With Crosby and Wilson, and then Chandler Jones rotating in. We've gotten better. Are we a top 10? I don't know. That's what that's what we're gonna have to wait and see. But Carr could fucking blow up. I've said this before, and I've said this at the draft. I've been on other shows, and I said this. My dream Super Bowl this year: Raiders versus Saints in Las Vegas.
That would be crazy.
That would be one for the ages.
Yeah, and hopefully, if that is the case, that we win that Super Bowl matchup revenge game, because the last one that we were in, revenge game, a lot of stuff happened, but let's not talk about that yet. But I think with McDaniels, it's one of those things where I'm not going to root against my Raiders. I could be upset about what's going on. Yeah, I could be upset about what's going on or whatever. But once the actual games start going, you're going to forget all that when you see them silver hats, them black jerseys come out onto the field, and you're going to remember why you root for this team. No matter how much they piss you off, no matter how much they frustrate you, you're always going to root for this team. And
this team drives me to drink, but you know what? That's one thing I never do. I never bet against my team. Money, anything, people want to come up, I never bet against my team. So as the question goes, discouraged, or optimistic? We're Raiders fans. For the last, how many fucking years has it been? We're always optimistic at the start of the season.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to be slightly optimistic, but I will be critical. Like if we all become
Now,
critical after
we
week
become
6,
critical. After about week 5, 6, 7, we start becoming critical. Unless we're winning, then that's a different story.
Yeah,
Then we're
because
then it's Super Bowl bound.
because like when McDaniels came in last year, you're thinking like, okay, well, if he's gonna run a similar offense like he did with the Patriots, you had a lot of running backs doing swing routes, and the slot receiver was always, that was like their dangerous weapon on offense. Like for me, I think one of the players I thought was gonna, succeed, highly succeed in the offense was Hunter Renfro. Unfortunately, I don't know if he didn't have or he wasn't as comfortable in this new system to kind of
He was
do.
injured.
Yeah, but in the beginning, where I don't think he was fully comfortable to kind of I think in the season before, he was allowed to improvise his routes because he had that rapport with Carr. But yeah, he got injured. He had the concussion against the Cardinals in overtime, where we lost the game, and he was out for 2 games, and then he ended up getting an oblique injury where he was out for 5. So he never really got a rhythm. Hunter Renfro was the guy I thought was going to be, a top performer in his offense. Who was the guy that you thought was going to be a top performer in his offense last year?
In the offense?
In his offense.
To be honest with you, it was fucking Darren Waller. I mean, McDaniel, he had Gronkowski, he had Aaron Hernandez, all his tight ends, and I can't name them all, I mean, I know it's the Patriot way now, but I can't, I don't follow the Patriots in that bullshit. But the tight ends are always a big part of his offense. Yeah. And I expected Darren Waller to come out and the way he'd been playing and be Darren Waller and possibly break the record that he already had held for the most receptions by a tight end. And and probably fight Devontae Adams for most yards on the team.
Yeah.
And whether it was injuries, well, he had the injury. We don't know, what really happened between him and McDaniels that started everything to go south. Whether he just didn't want to be on the team, if he pulled the Khalil Mack and said, I just don't want to be here no more, or everything was legit and, he was just hurt. I expected to see Darren Waller do a lot more in that offense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, there was also talk that Darren Waller wasn't really fully engaged in last year's system, that he prolonged his recovery of his injury, that, he was looking out for his mental health, and I'm not going to talk bad about that.
No,
but it was a little, he was out for all those weeks, and then he came out with the rap video. So it was just one of those things where you're like, okay,
they
got married, and there was a whole lot of speculation about that he didn't want to come back, that he was mad at McDaniels because he let out the news about his wedding that they wanted to keep secret. So, I don't know what happened to Waller, why he just was disinterested with last season. Eventually he got traded to the Giants. That was a surprise move. And when it first happened, I was upset, but he didn't play a lot, and he was injured a little bit the year before. So
see the difference between that though is he played through injury the year before. This year and last year, it seemed like the minute he had an injury, he shut everything down. For lack of a better term here, it almost felt like 2 years ago versus last year, he became a diva. And I mean, I get it. Like you said, mental health. If there was mental health things there, I'm the first one to go. Your mental health comes before anything else. Football, it's very important in life. It's a big deal. It's come to light, and
Well, yeah.
I mean, what happened when mental health is addressed?
Yeah. And, you know, I don't know. Like I said, there was a lot of speculation with a lot of things. But, we'll see how he does in New
With
York.
the Giants.
They have a lot of, they have a lot of, I don't know. They have a lot of potential for him next year or this year coming to New York.
They got talent. They got, certain things going. Saquon's in camp, so they got the running back. That's a big deal in there. They made some changes, but we'll see if he makes a difference for him or not. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if he's a Darren Waller of old, or if he's been the Darren Waller of recent years.
Yeah, and I mean, from what they're saying in camp, we might have upgraded with our draft pick, Michael Mayer. So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
That's what I heard. They got rid of O.J. Howard, but that quarterback, that tight end room was kind of stacked there for a minute, anyways. And I've heard the same thing that Myers is we upgraded. We didn't lose out at all. We've upgraded, and that he's the future tight end for a long time. So fingers crossed he comes out and balls out just like Waller did when he first came to the Raiders.
Yeah, and like one of Waller's, one of his weaknesses was blocking. He was a great receiving tight end. He can get open because he was an ex-receiver, and
basketball player too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, which a lot of tight ends are usually big. We're good basketball players, but yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. That's why you play the game any given Sunday.
Yep. So this whole Patriot takeover in Las Vegas with Tom Brady coming in as part owner. We have our head coach.
Hold on. Before you go there, though, we don't know what's happening with that because of the new vote. It's thrown the monkey wrench into everything, and now there's new negotiations. His ownership has not been approved because Mark Davis wanted to bring him in as part owner and hire him, and because of this new vote, league vote, they said you can't give equity to players or employees, and so now that's actually in jeopardy and possibility not happening. They have to renegotiate.
The whole contract.
Well, no, they have to renegotiate the whole thing. He's either got to be a owner, or he's got to be hired by the team.
Well, one of the things that I was, questioning, isn't Tom Brady supposed to also be part of Fox Sports Media? I think he was taking this year off, but he said next year he was going to go and work for Fox Sports, whether it's broadcasting or being, color commentator or broadcasting.
He's supposed to be. See, no equity rule. That's what it was. The no equity rule for employees muddles the acquisition. Recent decision to block the distribution of equity to players and other employees is one specific impact to former now players who is or perhaps was poised to become an owner. So that being done, this whole thing that muddies that aspect. But the Patriot takeover now, I know one of your sub questions on this happens to be, would this happen in Oakland? If we were still in Oakland. I'm going to twist this on you, though, because you know what? We know we had Al Davis as our owner. We know when an owner wants to do what he wants to do, yes, this would happen in Oakland. It doesn't matter, because that's ownership. Here's the question. Would it be accepted in Oakland, this Patriot takeover, if they were still in Oakland? You go.
The fans, us, no. Ever since the Tuck rule in 2001, no. And I've heard people say, get over it. It was 20 years ago. I don't care if it was 90 years ago.
Even if Brady came out and said 100%, it was 100% fumble, you don't think it'd be accepted in Oakland?
Nope. Because for a long time, he said it wasn't a fumble. And then ever since that started the Patriot dynasty. That cost us possibly. No, I don't want to say we could have a dynasty because a lot of our players in that era, the 2000s, early 2000s, were older players. Unless we drafted real good and build off of all that, maybe, I don't know. You never know. But would we accept it in Oakland? No. I mean, there are people from the previous generation that still hasn't gotten over the immaculate reception. One of those playoff heartbreaks that at the last second.
No. The immaculate deception.
The immaculate deception. Cold weather games, we get jobbed in the snow. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if Al Davis was still alive, would he have hired Josh McDaniels? I wouldn't say no because he's an offensive-minded coach. And maybe because after after Callahan didn't do well the year after the Super Bowl, he went and hired Norv Turner, who to come in, who was a highly offense coordinator, who had a stint as a head coach with Washington, didn't do that well. So I mean, I think Al Davis possibly could have hired Josh McDaniels. A GM? No, because Al Davis was the GM.
Yes.
But
even GM, even if we were still in Oakland with Mark Davis, I think this would have happened.
Well, yeah.
Only as long as the same situations happen with Gruden and everything else. We only hired McDaniels because Gruden was forced to retire.
Yes.
Okay, we know Mark wanted Gruden. Now we wouldn't have Gruden if Al Davis was still alive.
No, we would not have Gruden. I think that.
And I agree with you. I think Al Davis might have been the one to even hire a McDaniels. I think he would have in Oakland. That's why I had to change this question or this part of it because we had the senile owner who's going to do whatever the hell he wants. Now we got Mark Davis who's trying to do what he can, and in Oakland he'd have done the same thing. I feel he would have done the same thing in Oakland. So my thing is more about acceptance of the Patriot takeover. I don't think Raiders fans, and I agree with you 100%. I don't think in Oakland, if we were still in Oakland, there'd be so many signs. There'd be so many, in the tailgates, in the parking and everything. It'd be so much shit talking about so many Patriots players, coaches,
coming in,
being on the team, the way things are going.
I mean, there were signs last year. People were putting up towards the end of the season, bench McDaniels, and whatever happened, it was alleged that Mark Davis had that fan removed.
No, it goes even better. That fan is from Kansas City. That was a Kansas City Raider fan.
Yeah.
I actually know who that is. As a Kansas City Raider fan, he did have that sign. Not only did he have him removed, I heard rumors there's a possibility of him being banned.
Just for a sign that said bench McDaniels.
Well, he had something else. I believe he had that on the other side. Raiders fans deserve better than this.
I saw that one.
I think it was the same guy. He just had both sides, but it was true. No, he did not speak any lies. Now, Al Davis loved that kind of shit, and I don't think Al Davis would have removed that fan. He may have he may have said, "Don't show that sign again." They may have taken that sign from him, but he never would have removed that fan. Al Davis
No.
loved the fans, and he loved the fact that we were very vocal as fans and said our piece because that was the Al Davis way.
Yeah.
Don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. We're going to say what we want to say. We're going to, be the way we want to be. And Al Davis loved super fans. Al Davis loved the black hole. Al Davis loved how vocal, he loved the fact that we would turn an opposing team's home game into a road game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Al, that was Al Davis's pride. Nothing was above the Raiders.
That's what he wanted. He wanted, a global, like, for the Raiders. He said that, I want our team where you say silver and black and you know who you're talking about. He wanted that global appreciation, for the Raiders, not just Raider Nation, but, international Raider fans and everything. And in Oakland, where our stadium was the majority, 90%, I'll say as low as 90% Raider fans, us fans wouldn't have accepted all this. Let's become the Patriots because they had won for 20 years. It's like selling our soul. And it's one of those questions where it's like, okay, do you want to win the mantra, or it's just win, baby? Are you trying to win? Are you trying to whatever? So it's us fans, we have to swallow a lot of pills going into these last two seasons because we want to win. We want to be back, in the playoffs, constantly in the playoffs and fighting for a championship, like we're supposed to be. And the NFL is great when the Raiders are good. So
it is. No, the NFL is great. Exactly. You said it right there. The NFL is great when the Raiders are being the Raiders.
Yes.
I mean, when we're playing smash mouth football, what was the one rule that Al Davis wanted at the start of every game? The quarterback needed to go down, and he needed to go down hard within the first 5 minutes.
Yes.
Once you set that precedence, then that's just how the game went. The Raiders, there's other teams, Steelers, Browns, teams like that. The Raiders are a blue-collar team. They represent the blue-collar worker. And that's what Al Davis loved. I mean, Al Davis came from, nothing to being the godfather of the fucking NFL. I mean, not just the Raiders, but the NFL. And he did it under his own terms. I mean, we're to the point, he's been dead since 2011. This is 2023. And the NFL still holds a grudge against the Raiders, all because of Al Davis. And we accept it as fans. That's who we are. We don't want nothing the easy way. If we take our wins, if we win the next Super Bowl we win, we're going to know we won it because we took that shit, not given to us. We played against teams, we played against refs, we played against the NFL, and still walked out with that trophy.
Yeah. Yeah, and Al Davis, said, "I'd rather be feared than respected," and that's what he wanted his teams, because we were always, that one team that NFL tried to, they didn't want to help us with a stadium, and they didn't want it. Everything was always against us. A lot of the rules were made because of us. The Stickum, the Holy Roller, Alzado throwing a helmet at somebody, can't use a helmet as a weapon. A lot of the rules were made.
A majority of the rules in the NFL now are set in place because of the Raiders.
Yeah. And they changed
you can't set the receiver after 5 yards. Why? Because we invented the bump and run.
Yeah.
We had defensive backs who would be all over a receiver. Well, they couldn't catch the ball when that happened. Well, we got to change that rule. We got to give the receivers a chance. Why? Because we had players who could do that and be good at it. It was, not everybody could play that. Play that way.
And what we did was we never really broke the rules. We just knew how to bend them a little bit.
We just bent them.
And if One of the what was the Raider rule number 1?
Cheating is encouraged.
What was Raider rule number 2?
Refer back to Raider rule number 1.
Well, speaking, we're talking about Al Davis and everything. How about let's compare Al Davis's last 10 years to Mark's first years as owner. Now, this question, because I feel like, and yeah, we're talking about the past. We're not talking about the future or anything. We're talking about the past, but we're talking about the history of the Raiders. And I feel sometimes people forget.
History is important.
Yes. I feel like people forget Al Davis because he's no longer here. And I know that Al Davis's the last decade after the Super Bowl, just about, was a lot of bad seasons.
Al Davis, towards the end of his life, we all know Al Davis wanted that Super Bowl. He wanted that one more Super Bowl, and he mortgaged absolutely everything in order to try to get that Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, I mean,
when
Al Davis was still alive and running the team, there was a lot of players, like everyone wanted to be a Raider. Everybody wanted to put that silver and black and play under Al Davis because Al Davis was always a player. He was a player's coach, basically. And
player's owner. He was a player's owner.
Well, they either call him Mr. Davis or they call him Coach Davis. With his his knowledge still. He still had knowledge. Coaches that would interview with him would say that he would test them. He would test them their knowledge of the offense and the defense and everything. And that they would get a lot of information from Al Davis. And just talking football. People love talking football with Al Davis because he'll try to challenge you. And I feel that in
order to do anything on the team, be a player, be a coach, be in the front office, you had to know football. If you didn't know football and you didn't know your history, Al Davis wasn't going to have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think I'll say is missing is, with these coaches that we've had since Al's passing. We had Dennis Allen, because Al Davis, his last coach that he hired was Hugh Jackson, and Hugh Jackson did fairly well, but after he had passed away and Mark Davis took over, he ended up hiring Dennis Allen, and Dennis Allen didn't do too well, and then after that, it was just bad decisions. And I think, with Al Davis up top, Al Davis put pressure on coaches that you needed to succeed now. They all had like 2-year contracts. 2-year contracts. See what you can do in 2 years. If not, I'm kicking you. You're gone. And I mean, that's not always a best formula of winning, because there's, a coach can't build continuity, but that's how it is nowadays. A coach needs to turn around a team right now. There is no, I'll give you 5 years and you can, slowly build and then compete eventually, because the fans want to win now. The fans, we want to win now. We don't want to, go out there and knowing that this team is not going to try to win, or not try to win, because I'm always trying to win, but going in there and, like the coach is comfortable, there's no pressure on the coach. And I think that's what Al Davis did.
I think we're trying to go is allow the coach to build his team, the team that he wants under his vision. You got to take an old coach when you come in. You got to take the old regime's players and sometimes front office and everything else, and try to do something with that in the first year, and then try to trickle some of that out, bring in some more of it in the second year, and be successful. Because if you're not, like you said, you're out the door, and the next person's coming in. Gruden has been the latest one who's had a chance at that. He was in his 4th year when all this bullshit went down. And, you know, he was the closest, but he also had a 10-year contract, and everyone knew he wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, and I think that you know, when Gruden got hired a second time, you know, I liked the hiring because Gruden had done it before, and I know he had 9 years removed since the Raiders beat him when he was a Buccaneers coach. The Raiders were his last loss before he got fired was to the Raiders. I think Jamarcus Russell was the quarterback for that team. But you know, I'm all like, okay, at least with Gruden coming in, he has, you know, pride. You know, he loved the Raiders, so he's gonna make sure that he's gonna prepare his team. You know, but he still had a chance to build it. And I think that was one of the good moves that Mark Davis did in his you know, last decade. You know, and Gruden's departure was out of nowhere. So that's no one's fault besides
His departure was out of everyone's control. It was out of Gruden's control. It was out of Mark Davis's control. That was, as information's coming out, allegedly. I'm gonna use the word allegedly. I don't want to end up missing or nothing. Allegedly, you know, Goodell and other higher ups were the ones who leaked the emails because it just feels like they saw the Raiders starting to head the right direction.
Controversy.
Hey, it's not the Raider way if there ain't no fucking controversy.
Like always, like the season before. Oh no, I'm sorry, like that season right then and there. Yeah. And we still came into the playoffs. I mean, yeah, like Al Davis, his whole tenure, 5 AFC championship appearances, 3 Super Bowl champions. Super Bowl 2, he was actually Super Bowl 2, I believe he was the commissioner of the AFL. And then, you know, the owner for the next 4 appearances. He's had many Hall of Famers go in. He's presented for many Hall of Famers. The last 10 years, though, after that Super Bowl, they said that, Greg Papa had said that Super Bowl crushed him because, you know, losing the John Gruden that he had traded away to the Buccaneers for 2 first rounds, 2 second rounds, and $8 million. I would never forget that. I remember when he got traded on the expansion draft when the Texans came into the league. You know, a few weeks after it was like a month after the Super Bowl. So after a few months after the snow game, the tuck rule game.
The snow job, get it right. It's the snow job.
Yeah. But I think that Al Davis he knew, you know, he had an illness that he didn't say nothing about. And I think he knew that his time was coming, you know, his time was coming up, and he was just trying to put anybody out there, you know, that he figured that was going to win at least him one more. He wanted 2 more before he retired as owner and general manager or general partner of the team. But he was trying to get that last one because he was right there. He was right there, and losing to Gruden, you know, and that whole situation in Super Bowl 37, they said that crushed him. And I just think he was really just trying to put players together that had decent years before or had a flash of a good season.
He was trying to slap together a 1-year team.
Yeah.
He wanted that magic of a team coming out of nowhere, winning the Super Bowl, and then whatever happened after that, he didn't care. But that being said, I'll even go this far. When Mark Davis first took over the team, I thought one of the smartest things he said and did was I'm not my father. I don't know football like my father did. And he made sure he hired people who understood the game better and put them in positions to try to put together and fix. I mean, we had to fix a lot of damage that Al Davis did in those last years, contract-wise, money-wise, you know, everything else. And he was smart enough to say, hey, I'm not going to act like I know this. I'm going to step back. I'm going to hire these people. And I'm going to let them take control and do that. I'm just going to be the money behind all this. I think that was a smart move on Mark Davis's part. Not a lot of people getting handed a team like that have the wherewithal to turn around and say, "Hey, I'm not my father. I don't know this. My dad was a genius. I'm not. I'm going to step back and hire people who could help me turn this team around."
Yeah.
And then did that.
Yeah. And then
I
Mark
mean, we
Davis
had the
continued.
McKenzies. Well, I mean, Reggie McKenzie. He,
Yeah.
as a GM, he had the hardest job, I think, in the NFL at that time to turn around and fix monetarily everything that Al Davis did. He brought in Del Rio, who changed the culture of the Raiders.
Yeah.
And then he went out and did what nobody thought could be done and signed Gruden. I mean, Gruden was.
Yeah. McKenzie was still the GM.
Gruden was on TV commentating. He did not need to leave his job.
Yeah.
He did what had to be done to get Gruden. In all honesty, and it probably might not be a popular comment here, Del Rio changed the culture, but Del Rio was not going to give us a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Del Rio, his big mistake was firing the offensive coordinator after that 2016 year, and keeping.
Well, there was that. There was keeping Carr in that game that he did not need to be in against the Colts when he got injured. There was no reason for him to be there. Carr was going for an AP season.
Yeah.
We had the playoffs clinched. Why was he in that game at that late in that stage of that game?
We had a big lead too going late in the game. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That game was solidified. That game was over. We were at the point when Carr got hurt. We couldn't lose that game. And then Carr gets hurt. Del Rio, we needed Del Rio to change the culture. And that happened. I just don't think Del Rio, and I know we had just given him a contract extension and all that other shit, but I don't think Del Rio would have taken us to the Super Bowl. I don't think Del Rio would have won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, because we still had a defense that still needed to, improve. It was middle at best with Ken Norton Jr. calling the plays. I would have thought that Del Rio, being the defensive coach that he was, that he would be the one calling the defense and having somebody else run the offense, because defense was always our Achilles heel. And a lot of the past, seasons, decades, since the Super Bowl loss. And I think, the following season, coming after that playoff year, keeping Ken Norton Jr., because that was his, a good friend of his, keeping him, and then upgrading Todd Downing from the quarterback coach position to offensive coordinator. I just think that the offense just started. It wasn't as great as it was the year before, and that basically sealed his fate. Gruden became available, and Mark Davis
Gruden was willing to talk, and Mark Davis was willing to throw whatever he needed to get him. That 10-year, $100 million contract.
And one of the things Gruden said was, "I don't want to take no one's job, so unless you have to give me the job when it's vacant, not when." So they fired Jack Del Rio, and interviewed John Gruden. You knew they were going to hire John Gruden, but they interviewed it just to do the process, just to make it seem like, oh, we're just interviewing them and seeing. But we all knew that was going to happen.
No, I think a lot of people were hoping. Nobody knew at the time.
Well, no, I knew that they were going to hire him. I knew the Raiders were going to hire him because that's what Mark Davis wanted. He wanted to bring him.
No, that's what he wanted. Back. That's what he wanted. But did we know? Did we know Gruden was going to come out?
Gruden missed coaching.
Yeah, it showed. He didn't want dreams. He wanted nightmares. I mean, he showed. Knock on wood if you're with me. I mean, it showed. And Gruden was giving.
I'm knocking too hard, too fast.
But Gruden was given the chance to build his team. Gruden was going to go into year 5 or year 6 before he had to be on the hot seat. He was in year 4 before this bullshit came out, and the team was on an
doing
upswing.
good. We were
Yeah,
rolling.
we were on an upswing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that team that made the playoffs, that was Gruden's team.
Yeah.
You know, and we did it without our top receiver. We did it out with our what is that special teams coach who
Yeah.
was going to stick to Gruden's plan. I wish we would have kept Bisaccia. Don't get me wrong. I think the players came together and they love playing for Bisaccia.
Yeah.
You know, I think it could be different if we kept him, but you know, at the same time, Bisaccia, I don't know if he wanted to be a head coach. I know he interviewed for the job, but I don't know if he wanted to be a head coach.
I don't know. I think with Mark Davis, I think that he saw that McDaniels was going to come out and try to, interview for head coaching positions, and he saw the opportunity. And with Bisaccia, that was his first year with the head coaching role, as an interim. I don't know if he felt like, well, I don't want to pass on McDaniels, who has.
I'm gonna have to step away real quick. If you keep going, I gotta step away real quick.
Well, I don't know, like McDaniels had the 6 rings as offensive coordinator. I think, he couldn't pass on the opportunity to see if McDaniels can turn this whole organization around and make them winners. But I just think I know that if Al Davis was still around during this whole thing, and if crazy things have happened, if Al Davis would have gave Gruden a second chance and all this happened, and Bisaccia was the interim like it happened last year, I think Gruden would have kept Bisaccia, because that's what happened. The same, when Gruden was traded to the Buccaneers, all the players told Gruden, let's keep Callahan, the offensive coordinator, under Gruden and make him head coach, because they wanted to keep that same continuity, to keep the same thing. They didn't want to rebuild off of a new system, off of a new coach, a new philosophy, and they wanted to just continue along what they were building then. So, but with Al Davis's last 10 years, there were a lot of bad seasons. And with Mark Davis, there was a lot of bad seasons too. But with the organization, I mean, look what happened now. Mark Davis, we have our own stadium now. We had to move to Vegas for it, but we have our own
Which
stadium.
a lot of people don't know. It was Al Davis's dream to move the team to Las Vegas. Al Davis wanted to go to Las Vegas if he couldn't stay in Oakland.
Al Davis's favorite place to go to for his birthday was to Las Vegas. And I mean, Mark Davis as an owner, businessman owner, we got our own stadium. We're not sharing it with nobody. Even though the A's are coming to Vegas possibly real soon, we're not going to see a baseball field in the middle of the 50-yard line. We're not going to see second base alongside the the 50-yard line like we did in Oakland, which I miss sometimes. But
I miss that infield, I'm telling you.
Yeah. We got our own stadium. We have our own city.
And a quick note on your thing. No, if Al Davis was still alive, I don't think we would have hired Gruden. I don't think that would have happened with Al Davis still alive.
Well, yeah. No, I was saying is that if somehow, some way he, Al Davis was never like that, but if he was to have given him a second chance, and the same thing would have happened where Gruden had to resign because of emails from whatever, I think he would have kept Bisaccia a second year, because that's what the players did after he traded Gruden to the Buccaneers. All the players rallied to have Bill Callahan, upgrade him to head coach, because they wanted to keep that same system and continue to build off of that. And they didn't want to rebuild, because a lot of the players that we had were towards the ends of their careers. Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, Rich Gannon, they were all in the twilight of their careers, and they didn't want to start all over after being in the, AFC West champions the last 2 years, AFC championship in 2000. Unfortunately, the snow job in the divisional round 2001. So they wanted to keep all that continuity with the same system and the same philosophy I think that Al Davis does this crazy things. If he would have hired John Gruden, give him a second chance, and all this happened, he would have kept Bisaccia because he would have listened to the players. Because they all wanted to keep him. They wanted to rally around and keep him there. So
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I agree with that statement.
I mean, Mark Davis as an owner, the team on the field, similar to Al's last 10 years, but Mark got us our own stadium. It's in Vegas. We're not sharing the area, like with the Niners across the bay. We're not sharing.
You also got to look at Al's first 10 seasons. He didn't make no Super Bowl. He didn't make the Super Bowl till he didn't win the Super Bowl, I'm sorry, until season 11.
Yeah.
Al Davis.
Super Bowl 11,
so, so going into this, does son father's footsteps, and after 11 years of ownership, this is the 11th year.
In Vegas? In Vegas?
In Vegas?
Super Bowl appearance in Vegas, the stadium that he built in Vegas.
3 Super Bowls in 3 different cities.
Hey, the only team that be in 3 different cities. Twice in one.
But I mean, I know it's comparing. I know it's comparing the last 10, but the first 10 too. Al had great seasons per se. He turned to a 2-10 team or something like that. I forget how many games they played when he first took over.
14. So
14. Okay, so he took a 2-12 team and turned around and made the biggest turnaround in his first year.
Yep.
But when you go down, it still took him 11 years to win that first Super Bowl. Now, granted, he only had 2 coaches those 11 years.
Yeah. Well, it was him, and then it was
We're saying as owner, not counting him as a coach. He only had 2 coaches.
He came in 63. And I'm forgetting who the coach was, who coached Super Bowl II. But
I forget. God damn it. I knew it and I had it up too, and now I'm drawing a fucking blank.
Yeah, he was I think he was let go the year 2 years after that appearance. And then John Madden was came in, was upgraded from the staff to become head coach.
I'm trying to find it out right now.
John Ross.
There you go.
John Ross was the coach
that's it.
to Super Bowl II, which they ended up going against the dynasty Packers
against Vince Lombardi.
Under Vince Lombardi. So now his first 10 years, he got the 1 ring, but he was as an owner. Yeah, so as an owner. And Mark Davis, maybe this season, you never know, coming out of nowhere.
Hey, we were the first wild card team to fucking win a Super Bowl.
1980.
We could do something like that again.
Yeah.
Hey, we could sweep. There's a possibility with this offense. If the defense could do what it needs to do, there's a chance. I'm using the word chance. We could sweep the Chiefs this season.
Hey,
I think
I'm tired of seeing Mahomes.
I'm tired of hearing Mahomes. I'm tired of hearing all these announcers swinging off Mahomes' nuts like he's the fucking God's gift to fucking football. He's not the next best thing since white bread. I mean, I give him his credit. As a mobile quarterback, he extends plays, and that's what makes, allows things to go. He's got Travis Kelce, one of the top tight ends, in the league, but he's got Andy Reid. But, every team in the NFL, every team that's rising to the top, that's the cream of the crop, has fallen and gone down and been right where we're at right now.
Yeah.
All we got to do is come in and play Raider football, hard-nosed football. Win in the trenches, and whether that's with McDaniels or not, I don't give a fuck who it's with. I'm ready to win now.
We just gotta get to Mahomes, slam him to the ground more times than just one or two. Max Crosby had him a couple times last season to the ground, and we had a lead in that game.
Max Crosby's working on that. He's been working his hands and everything. He wants to be able to get, if he gets that fingers in the jersey, he wants to be able to drag him down, and he's been working on that. And just maybe, Wilson is that answer.
We need another bookend because everyone's keying up on Crosby, and Chandler was supposed to be that bookend to complement
the quarterback.
Yeah, to complement Crosby. We need D tackles to push and collapse the pocket through the middle, and we got to put pressure on the quarterback because that right there helps the DBs in the back. Because when the quarterback can extend plays.
Having quarterbacks who could cover will help that, though.
Well, yeah, but we got to put pressure on the quarterback because if he can extend plays and the receivers just keep running free, it's that's when the coverages start breaking down because people are trying to DBs and safeties are trying to cover these receivers who are now just running just to get open, running routes.
That's where we need linebackers that can cover too, who can cover the tight end. Who can cover
tight ends always been our tight end's always been a thorn in our defense.
Kelsey's always fucking had big games against us.
Yeah, especially that last one when he won 4 touchdowns and he only had like less than 100 yards because it was all within the red zone. We couldn't cover within the red zone, and you knew they were going to him.
But that again, we're working on the defense. I think we've upgraded. We have upgraded. In the end, Peters, I don't know if he's the answer, but you know what? He is a ball hawk. The key thing in this, and Peters being the ball hawk that he is, turnovers.
Yes. I
just think we get the turnovers, then it changes the game.
I think what we need, what we're missing, like since Charles Woodson, his second stint, was a veteran back there that can help guide the younger DBs that we have back there because, Charles Woodson playing safety, he was playing amongst a lot of young DBs and he was out there making plays. And, in his, he was like 37, 38.
Something like that, yeah. But we brought in 2 veterans.
Yeah.
Epps and Peters.
Yeah, so we just need, I think the one thing we were missing for a long time was that veteran presence back there.
That
keep
and a linebacker
accountable.
That
linebacker always. Yeah, we've been missing a linebacker for a couple years. The linebacker position is not the same like it used to be. You don't have that one, middle linebacker like a Ray Lewis or whatever, to the captain of the defense because of the way the offenses have been developing. A lot of slot guys. You need faster, like safety linebacker hybrids. We just need somebody back there who's going to be, put the hammer down as a veteran leader on these guys. And Max Crosby is becoming that leader on the line. But we need somebody back there with all the moving parts, tight ends and receivers, trying to get open. That's going to be able to help out the young DBs develop,
right now, that's what, Divine Diablo?
Yeah.
He's got the green dot this year.
Well, this is, what is this? As his second year, right? Or a third year?
Second or third year, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe with a second year in Patrick's system, there'd be less thinking and more reacting. because
Hopefully,
I just think
hopefully.
they were trying to, they say that's a complicated defense to to grasp, and a lot
But
of
not,
players were thinking too much.
sorry, and it might help with the whole fact of now that we got cornerbacks and safeties. We got Nate Hobbs, who
Yeah.
fucking had a hell of a season. We got Peters, we got Epps, we got who's the other one on the other side that
Morick.
who Morick. There you go.
Yeah.
Who's in his third year, something like that.
Third year.
I think. And
Same as Hobbs, third year.
So if they don't have to worry about that, now it's all up to the linebackers.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it's all a wait and see. It's all a wait and see.
Wait and see. Let's move on to our last question.
Okay, this is one of those questions that I came up with because I just, I always think about ever since all this happened 20 years ago, just about. That what if
we've talked a lot about this situation.
Yeah, what could have happened to this particular situation? Also, launched the Patriot dynasty. So let's just debate this question right here. What if John Gruden stayed with the Raiders for the 2002 season? I know it wasn't his decision; it was out of his control. But what if Al Davis didn't trade him to the Buccaneers? Would the Raiders still have gone to Super Bowl 37? And if so, and if the NFC had the same two teams in the championship game, the Eagles or the Buccaneers, whichever one made it to the Super Bowl, would we have beat that team and claimed our fourth title? What do you think?
Short answer, yes.
Yes.
We went to the Super Bowl with John Gruden's team.
Yep.
Okay, we didn't change nothing from John Gruden to Buchanan.
No, Callahan.
I'm sorry. You're right. Callahan, thank you. We didn't change nothing there. Now, do I think we would have won it? That's a tougher question, but I want to say yes. I don't think Gruden would have changed it to pass happy like Callahan did. Now,
I know. Oh no, go ahead.
Now the whole thing talking about people don't want to give Gruden the credit because that was a Tony Dungy team. Let's say it was Tampa Bay again, and it was Dungy's team. It would have been coached different. It would have been a good fucking game. I think it would have been a good game. It would have been a lot fucking closer. And in the end, if we would have done what we did best to get there, I still think we squeak out that win. We don't get blown out like we did.
I think when the Raiders, so when Callahan became the head coach, they got their offensive. So Callahan was the offensive coordinator for Gruden. The 4 years Gruden was there from 98 to 2001. He was the offensive coordinator, Bill Callahan, but he wasn't the play caller. John Gruden was the play caller. John Gruden was more of a, controlling the clock, ball control, holding on, to the, longer possessions. That was how he called the game. I think when Callahan came in, they hired Mark Trestman as offensive coordinator, and he opened up the passing game for Rich Gannon. I mean, and in that season, we had older receivers. We had, Tim Brown toward the end of his career. We had just gotten Jerry Rice the year before. Jerry Porter was just drafted. He got drafted in 2000, the same year as I think it was later around the same year as Janikowski and Littler. So he was like that faster slot receiver, that third option receiver. But when you have those veterans with the veteran Rich Gannon, they know how to get open. They're not the fastest. They're not going to burn you, but they know how to get open because they've been playing this game forever. Trestman opened up the playbook and had Gannon. He threw more than they rushed, and even with Charlie Garner and as the running back, They swung him out a lot, pass catching running back. And when they did run it, they had Charlie Garner to run it. And then you had Wheatley pounding up the middle and Zach Crockett.
Porter was drafted in 2000.
Yeah, 2000. He was like in the later round. I think he was like round 5 or something.
Nope. Round 2.
3.
Pick number 47.
Number 2?
2. Round
okay,
2.
I know.
Pick 47.
Yeah, okay. So it was Janikowski, Porter, and then Lettler, I think, was round 3. 3 or 4. But yeah, Wood Gruden had got the Raiders to the Super Bowl that year. In 2002, they played the Jets. They always play the Jets in the playoffs. It seemed like that during that little run they had. They played the Jets. Then they ended up being at home to beat the Titans. I was at that game up in Mount Davis. And the Titans, that was a
that was the year. That was the year before I became a season ticket holder.
Yeah, but that was a hard fought game. I was up in Mount Davis with my big old headphones, listening to Greg Papa and Tom Flores, trying to look at these black dots versus these white and blue dots. You know, way up there in Mount Davis. You know, that was a hard fought game, and we ended up getting the last score and closing it out. I don't know. I can't say confidently that Gruden would have got us.
Leckler was the 5th round.
Huh?
Leckler was the 5th round.
5th round. I can't say confidently.
142 overall.
I can't say confidently that Gruden would have got us to the Super Bowl. If Gruden would have got us to the Super Bowl, I think with the Buccaneers, we would have had a better shot under a Tony Dungy coached Buccaneers team, because if you remember, you know, all the highlights of the Super Bowl, NFL films, the team knew all the tendencies that the Raiders had. They knew the plays. They knew the tendencies.
The plays before we even, you know, we go out of the field. They saw us line up, and they called the play before we fucking snapped the ball. They would say because Callahan did not change the name of the plays. He didn't change any of the plays. He followed.
There was just controversy saying that he had changed the whole. Like they were going to do a run heavy Super Bowl because the defensive line, you know, Warren Sapp and them, you know, they were smaller, pass rush first, run second defense. And I thought going into that week, which that was the last Super Bowl that only had 1 week in between, you know, there was no bye week before the Super Bowl. But then, I mean, I'm not saying that's any kind of controversy. I don't know. That's just how we ended up in the Super Bowl.
Well, no, because they used to do the Pro Bowl before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But so I thought they were gonna do, you know, a run heavy, you know, I can't think of how the play is called, but where they go back to pass and then they hand off to the, you know, just to have the ends and the D tackles just rush up and then just hand it off the middle, you know, to Garner. Yeah, to Garner or to Crockett or to, you know, Wheatley, which I remember Wheatley didn't get no handoffs until later in the game, which I also thought that was kind of weird because Wheatley never got his number called until like the 3rd quarter when we were already losing. I don't know if Gruden would have got us to the Super Bowl. Would Gruden get us past the Titans? I don't know, you know, because the Titans did have a decent defense. They weren't the Ravens from 2 years before. And we had scored against the Ravens. We had scored a touchdown against them, Andre Rison, but they called the offensive push-off on Andre Rison in the back of the end zone, you know. But if Gruden would have got us to the Super Bowl and we were going against the Bucs, I think we'd take that game. If we were going against the Eagles with Donovan McNabb, I think Donovan McNabb was the quarterback. He was early in his career. Against Andy Reid, I think that would be a close game. I would say we would have had the advantage in that one. But to say if Gruden would have got us to the playoffs, to the Super Bowl. I can't confidently say yes on that because we were more aggressive offensively in 2002 under Mark Trestman as they opened up the playbook, and Gannon became the MVP that year because of all the passing yards we had, and we did. We had
Yes,
the four.
that was the
We had,
quarterback.
yeah, we had the 4-game winning streak to start the season. Then we lost 4, but then we won 5 straight, lost 1, and won the last 2. So we just had a little stumble the second quarter of the season. But after that Bronco game, when Rod Woodson intercepted that ball and took it back to the house in Denver, that was our turning point. We knew we had something special. We just ended up seeing Gruden in the Super Bowl, who knew our plays, who knew Gannon's tendencies. We didn't change the audibles. We didn't change anything. And I think we changed the game plan too late in the week for the players to adjust. Barrett Robbins, had to, he's the quarterback of the offensive line, and going against all those future eventual Hall of Famers on that defense, it's.
Well, the story is he begged Callahan not to change the play calling.
Yeah, on that Friday before the Super Bowl. And even Tim Brown, has his back saying the same thing. So I don't know if Gruden would have got us to the Super Bowl, but if he did, I would say yes, we would have had our 4th title. We would have beat the Buccaneers under Tony Dungy because it was their defense. Like, even when Gruden was the head coach of the Buccaneers, they had a stretch where the offense couldn't do nothing. The defense carried them a lot towards the end of that year. So if Gruden would have got us past the Titans, if we're still playing the Titans in that AFC Championship game, if everything had the same path, if we would have got past the Titans, and I say yes, we would have had our 4th ring. But when Gruden came back before he had to resign this past season or the 2 seasons ago, I thought Gruden as a head coach to facilitate everything would have been great. I think to have somebody else be a play caller who was going to open up the playbook a little bit more, I think that's what Gruden needed to get to that next level. He does have a Super Bowl ring, but, there's a lot of – he played against his former team, and we basically, in a way, gave that championship to him because we didn't make any adjustments after the first half. Going into that game, he knew everything. It's like he had the cheat sheet to it all, and he was able to beat us. So, yeah, I am not confident in saying yes, Gruden would have took us to the Super Bowl. But if he would have got past the Titans, then yes, we would have had our 4th ring. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I disagree with you on some of it, but in the end,
it doesn't even matter.
In the end, this is a what if situation. I still think.
How about this then? If the Raiders would have won that Super Bowl, Gruden was still head coach, and the Raiders would have won that Super Bowl, do you think the Patriots would have had their 20-year run like they did since the snow game? Do you think the NFL would still be what it is today, as the Patriots being the golden, standard of NFL organizations, having them win? Was it 7, 6, 7? How many they had? Seven championships, right? 6.
Hold on. No.
7.
No, because the Steelers have the most Super Bowl wins, don't they, with 6?
No, I think the Patriots surpassed them.
You might be right.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm looking this up right now. I'm not going to fucking quit.
Because it was the Niners and the Cowboys who had 5, and then the Steelers beat the Seattle Seahawks.
Had 6.
And they got their 5th, and then they ended up getting their 6th to beat the they beat Tomlin had the team. They beat
nope, Super Bowl championships. Patriots only have 6.
They have 6?
Brady got his 7th. They have 6.
Okay, Brady got 7 with the Buccaneers. Okay, that's what threw me off. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, yeah, them and the
2001,
Steelers.
2003, 2004, 2014, 2016, and 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they bend them more, but Eli beat them twice.
Yeah.
And the Eagles beat them once.
Yeah, and the Bears beat them in the 85.
Okay.
Yes, their first appearance.
So, yeah, they only have 6. They're tied with the Steelers.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because Steelers beat the Cardinals. That was a close game, too, in the Super Bowl. Their last victory. Then they lost to Green Bay. So, yeah. So, do you think that the Patriots would still have their dynasty if we would have won that Super Bowl? If we still have Gruden and would have won that Super Bowl?
That one's a tough one to fucking answer because how long would have Gruden stayed with the team?
That's what I'm saying. If Gruden would have stayed with the team.
You know, I mean, if Gruden stays with the team.
It's a butterfly effect.
No, it is because do they win 6? No. Maybe 4. How many more would the Raiders have? Would we be in contention with 5 or 6 Super Bowl wins ourselves? Would we, I mean, you brought up some good facts, and I'm not arguing it, with play calling and everything. I do agree. This last year, this last Gruden stint, I was saying Gruden needed to give up play calling. He needed to give it to somebody else. That would have changed the whole dynamic of the team. If Gruden, I'll go like this. Gruden gives up play calling and stays, and we win the 2002 Super Bowl. No, the Patriots don't have the dynasty. They win 3, maybe 4 Super Bowls, and there's that rivalry with us where we're constantly making it to the, playing, like we had with the Steelers, where we kept getting beat by the Steelers. I kind of see that happening instead. It's just Patriots and Raiders in the championship game and going. But Gruden had to give up the play calling. Give up play calling.
Well, let's ask. Yeah.
Hey, let's ask. I see. Hey, let's ask Captain.
Let's ask Captain in. Oh yeah, it's the man himself, the James Brown of YouTube television.
I don't know about that, but it's like I was asked. Actually, I was enabled to come in to your show, and I said, of course, for you guys, I would do that because it's only 10 o'clock here, so I got a little bit of time before the old man has to go to bed. But first off, congratulations on getting started up again. That's fantastic. Good to see both Savage as well as my boy Ken in here for shows. So it's great. It's great to see you. So blessings to all of you. Blessings to all the folks that are out here watching.
We'd love to have you on our inaugural show.
Yeah. I'm honored. I guess this is the week of, hey, I'm starting my stuff. Please come on my show, because I did that for Twan, and again, anything for Twan, anything for you guys. And I'm just glad. I'm just glad that Savage has made his way out from the clutches of bad juju. I'm just saying. I'm not saying anything other than that. Nothing other than that. That's all I'm gonna say. The clutches of bad juju. You're free. You're free.
Yeah.
So not to say anything else, because that would just be wrong.
Yes, God loves it.
God
loves it.
We're all about pissing people off, Captain. That's why we have the cage match. If they don't they come in here and the cage match.
Yeah, but see, I would never want it to be out of my lips. that it got out that I said anything. I'm just saying that there are situations where you are reborn. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So for anybody that can construe anything about that. Oh, by the way, Kurt, we're allowed to cuss, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. You could be yourself here, Captain. I'm not holding back.
Okay. For all those that think that they can construe whatever the fuck they want out of that, fuck you. I only mean it one way, but I can only mean it one way. But the way you think I might mean it might not be the way I mean it. So I have an out. So fuck you. There you go.
You know, one way and one way only.
Well, I'm
that's the Al Davis way.
That's the Al Davis way. That's it. So what is that the subject that we're talking about?
That's
what it's John Group? Okay. So obviously it's post Tuck rule.
Yes.
Okay, so the Raiders lose. Okay, let me rephrase that. The Patriots win by means whatever. I'm just going to say it because the Raiders didn't lose that game. They just had it taken away from them. The Patriots win. Oh, by the way, I met some bikers that were in the Buffalo Soldiers Motorcycle Club from Boston over at Golden Corral the other day on like Saturday or Sunday. And so it says Boston. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to go talk to these guys because Boston fans are definitely sports heavy. So I hopefully got some more people to watch. And of course, the subject of a certain event and person came up, and the guy says, "Man, you hold that grudge." I said, "Fuck yes, I do. Fuck yes, I do." So
that's what I said. We're never gonna let go of that grudge against him and their organization. Ever since that game.
Right. And it's only because when Fuckstick was walking off the field and he had his head down and he was trudging because he knew he fucking lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he lost that game. He knew it was a fumble. He knew he lost that game. And then about a half an hour or 45 minutes later, when he's behind the podium with a big shit-eating grin, saying, "Oh yeah, well, we all knew it was Tuck." Fuck you, asshole! You fucking lying sack of shit.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, and by the way, have you noticed that he has not been announced as a partial owner?
The whole voting that they voted for. And not being able to give equity to players or staff has thrown a monkey wrench into the plans of Mark Davis because Mark Davis wanted to hire him as for a role in the Raiders and have him as a minority owner, and now he can't. So they got to go back to the table and renegotiate his status. He's either going to get hired as something, he's going to come in as a minority owner, or everything gets squashed and he ain't shit for the Raiders.
Right. And and I think that they're going to keep their options open pending what's going. I think that it's not like I think that they'll, in my mind, they'll keep their options open until after the season or into the season to see what happens with Jimmy and what happens with the younger quarterbacks that they got on roster, because God forbid, because right now Fuckstick is still a free agent. He's still a free agent.
Yes.
He does not owe the Tampa Bay fake Pirates any time, any money. He is a free agent. He can do what he wants. So that's what's beautiful about it. So I think that is why that they're going to go real slow into whatever. He can hang out with Mark and he can hang out and do whatever the hell he wants. And by the same token, if some other team is that hard up for a signal caller and he gets the itch again now that he's not married to that lady Skeletor, that was his former wife. I'm sorry, I think she's fugly. I mean, yeah, I'd probably fuck her on a good night and give her the best 5 seconds of her life. But deliberately go after her? No, she's skin and bones, man. That's why I call her Lady Skeletor. But anyway,
she was the reason why he came back out of retirement. Nah, I don't want to be home no more. Let me go back to playing football. I'd rather get smashed, knocked around by a defensive lineman than have to sit here with her.
Yeah. Present company. I'm just going to try to keep going. Thank God she doesn't know how to use YouTube and shit like that, so I can do it if I want. And then the other bitch, fucking cunt whore, fucking cunt bitch, who shall remain nameless. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Fuck her too. I got a lot of bile tonight because fuck whore's birthday is Friday, and I just really just want the bile. The bile is building up inside me.
The best one was yesterday, so it's okay. Everybody else's doesn't matter now.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. Captain Jack's story. I start on the highway. I go off all the way off into a fucking dirt road. I'm coming back to the highway. Let's go back to Fuckstick walking off the field when he knows he lost the game, but the Raiders get the L for that game. So the issue is that Al was offered, something for him by the Glazers, and Al is always one to take a good offer and put it out. Now, if you guys remember, I don't know if this was brought up already, but his agent was fucking with the Raiders the entire season. Oh, John's looking at going to Notre Dame this year. Oh, John's looking at this thing. So his agent, Bob Lamont, is that fuckstick's name. I think he's still with Lamont, by the way. By the way, Lamont, fuck you. I don't know you, but fuck you. But yeah, his Bob Lamont was always, well, he wants to go to Ohio State or he wants to go to Notre Dame, or his true calling is this. So his agent was fucking with the Raiders and Al Davis that year. So when the offer came up from the Glazers to bring him in, Al asked him and said, "Hey, how would you like to go to be the coach of the Bucs?" And also at that time, his mother was in the hospital, or she was going through some issues with her health, so he would have been home in Florida close to her because she was at the very end of her life. So that's what was going on there. Oh, tell me you caught this ball. Oh, motherfucker, get it in. That's okay, 7-6. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm multitasking. I'm doing you and watching the Phillies.
You're being anybody who watches the show, we know how it goes.
Fuck, it's 7-7. So it's 2 outs. Fucking A, Phillies. God damn it. You already fucking blew it in the bottom of the 9th. Now you blew it in the bottom of the 10th. So hopefully don't give up another run, get this win. Anyway, so Lamont was fucking with the Raiders, and Gruden was asked, "Hey, how would you like to go?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, I wouldn't hate it." And that was the answer that Al wanted, because he knew he got a good king's ransom for him, and he went. Now, had he stayed, the Raiders wouldn't have had the debacle that was Super Bowl 37.
Yeah.
Because the offense still would have been different. They would have won, obviously, enough games. I really do think that Callahan took the restrictor plates off the offense and made the offense better.
Well, Mark Trestman took over as play caller, yeah.
Yeah. And so Trestman would have been there, and Callahan was still, the assistant head coach, offensive line, and things like that. But he did soup it up. I can't remember if Bresnahan was the fuckstick defensive coordinator back then.
First stint, yeah, they had a good defense his first stint, not his second stint. Yeah,
because Willie Shaw was actually the best defensive coordinator we've had
since
that I can think of.
Yeah.
Willie Shaw was the best defensive coordinator that we've had, period. So
Who never had a chance to be a head coach.
Right, and that dessert, yeah, Willie Shaw, fuck, he could have been done wonders, but the Raiders would have catch the fucking ball. Thank you, 3 outs. Okay, so we're going to the top of the 11th. Okay, I'm right here. I'm not over there. I'm right here. Okay, so the Raiders probably could have gotten into the Super Bowl. They had that good of a team, and it wouldn't have been the debacle against the Bucs, because remember, the year prior to the Raiders going to that Super Bowl, the Raiders beat the living bejesus out of the Buccaneers. I think it was like 40-0 or 40. Thank you. 45-0 out in Oakland. So a lot of things would have been different. You wouldn't have had a coach that knows more about the team that he used to coach than the team that he was coaching. Yeah, and they would have done things so that Kiffin wouldn't have had the issues with the defense. It would have been totally different. So yeah. we probably would have won that Super Bowl, and we wouldn't be sitting at 3. We would have 4, and maybe another one too.
Well, we were just debating when you came in about if the Patriots would have their dynasty.
No.
If Gruden would have stayed.
No. Because, like I said, things would have been different. The Patriots would have had to have gone through us. And I think, if you remember the next year when we played them on Monday Night Football in the grudge match, that Callahan beat them on. It was either a Sunday night game or a Monday night game. Callahan beat him in Oakland and took Brady out of the game and kicked his ass.
Yeah. Yeah. That following year, yeah, we had a revenge, and I think Brady fumbled in that game, and they didn't take it back from us. We got that ball. We did have an older roster, and I think that's like what we were kind of debating, pending draft picks and how we continue on that, success with the older team, the older defenders we had, the older offensive players we had, Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, Charlie Garner was getting to that age. He was in his early 30s. Tyron Willie, I think, was in his early 30s. Gannon was in his later 30s. The offensive line was an older group. They were still productive, but they were an older group. Would we have blocked winning that Super Bowl in 37 with Gruden as our head coach? Would we have blocked a Patriot dynasty? The Patriots being the golden standard in the NFL for the last 20 years. Would that have happened if we kept Gruden, took care of business the following year, got our 4th ring, and had a stable organization under Gruden? Would the Patriots have their way? And, we're not trying to copy the Patriot way 20 years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot go. I mean, I can't stand the fact that, but I will say this. Okay. And maybe this is not the most positive thought of the discussion. Is I understand where Mark Davis is coming from. Okay, he's out from under the shadows of his father. He did try to do things correct the first time. He went to John Madden. He went to Wolf. He went to the third guy. Said, "Hey, who should I bring in here?" And all of them all of them together said, "Reggie McKenzie is your guy. Reggie McKenzie is your guy." So he went that route, and it didn't fucking work. And then he went in and he tried to make things happen with Gruden 2.0 and Mayock, and it didn't fucking work. And this was after the debacle of Jack Del Rio. Jack, last one in the building and first one out, whereas Gruden and Gannon, it was the other way in. first one in, last one out. Del Rio, last one in, first one out. Okay, I don't care what you say about Jack Del Rio. If you like Jack Del Rio is punk. Per reports, Jack, I'm not saying that you're a punk. That I said you're a punk. I said per reports that I've heard, you're a flaming punk asshole slacker. I didn't say that, but other people have said this.
Earlier, I had said that Del Rio helped change the culture, but he was never going to get us to the Super Bowl. No. That was my thing. We needed Del Rio to change the culture, and that's what he did. Him and Reggie McKenzie changed the culture, but we needed to move on from them if we wanted to move forward, because we would never have gone to a Super Bowl, let alone won the Super Bowl, if we would have stayed with that setup.
Yeah, I mean, McKenzie was good at riding the salary cap and all the shit. Yeah, at getting players back, in good stead money wise. No, but he wasn't good at building the franchise. It was good. He, like I said, he should have been the CFO, and that's what he was. He was a good CFO, but nothing more.
Yeah, can't argue that one.
Well, we had a question earlier. Speaking of, having the young quarterback now, we were talking about earlier about McConnell almost having, since he wears the number 4 now. Oh, it could be, a chance where he has a similar path like Carr did, starting, taking over for the, they're saying he's doing real good in camp, and he's a rookie, taking over the veteran quarterback that they brought in to run the offense, that like Carr did when he took over for Schaub, when they brought in Schaub that same season. Do you see McConnell, and it'll be not by performance but more of because of injury, do you see McConnell coming in and keeping the job this coming season like Carr did in his first year, his rookie year, when he won the job on that last preseason game against the Seahawks? Do you see a similar path?
I can see possibly, and I know that that's wishy-washy, but it depends upon if O'Connell can pick up the system, because McDaniels' system it's like analytic trig and geometry being taught for the most part to people that are coming out of elementary school arithmetic, right? You got to learn that system, and it's difficult. Yeah, and people have said, astute people like even Devontae Adams said that, man, I'm having a hard time picking this shit up. That's why there was some of those gaffes last year between Adams and Renfro in the Kansas City game where they ran into each other because they didn't quite know what the fuck was going on. I was at that game, and I thought that the fucking Kansas City guy, defensive pass interference, and I'm like, fuck, throw the flag, goddamn, fight that. But no, I didn't realize, because my angle, was I saw them, both go down, but I thought that the Kansas City guy is when it caused it. But back to point, typical me. If O'Connell grasps the system, and you'll see if he ascends to the number 2 quarterback. If he ascends to the number 2 quarterback quicker than people think, because Hoyer is plug and play. If once he goes past Hoyer, then it's a indication that he can take over and run the system to McDaniels' liking.
Yeah.
Carr did not do that. And Carr was, and I know that there are a lot of Kardashians versus Kardashians here. I was a Carr supporter for the longest time, but 9 years, and I gave him every bit. Like, yeah, he doesn't play deep. Yeah, he needs this. Yeah, motherfucker. When you can't fucking get the offense to work when we need it to work. Yeah, the defense sucks, but you're the one that has all of these fourth quarter comebacks, and then you throw like a fucking pick in the end zone at the end of the first half of the Rams game. Oh, I'm sorry, is it too soon for that? Oh, fuck you. Okay, and you throw throw a grease ball against Pittsburgh, and okay, Pittsburgh, fucking held him. I ain't gonna talk about the officials, but I will. I just did. But when you can't do shit, or when you have Darren Waller drop not one but two fucking touchdown passes against the Titans, a game that I saw as well live. There are issues there. There are issues there. So that's just the way I see it.
But did you go to Darren Waller's record release party?
No, I wasn't invited. Now, if they would have invited me and they had some hoes there, I would have went.
It's a rap party. There's gonna be some.
There's always gonna be some hoes.
Right. Well, but he didn't invite me. I would have been there. I like I said, I would have given those girls the best 15 seconds of their life. Maybe 20 on a good day. Maybe 20.
Well, that was it's our first show, so we're kind of we're getting the feel of it right now. But we're coming on 2 hours, so we'd like to thank you for coming in and guest appearing in our cage match. The all knowledgeable Captain Jack. And
loved it. Love being here. I want to make sure you guys are under 2 hours so you can have this show to rebroadcast. I know these things.
Yes. Well, we appreciate you coming in. And for those who are watching, catch our show live on Wednesdays around 5 p.m. We started late today. Around 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. This captain's doing overtime right now. He showed up and he helped us out. We appreciate that.
We appreciate it greatly.
Yeah. Asylum, any last words?
No, nothing else. I think, we said what we wanted to say, and hopefully everybody subscribes, likes, and we continue this for a long time.
It's only episode 1. We're going to get through this.
We're
going to have some content next week going into that Niner game because we all hate the Niners. Doesn't matter if we're in Las Vegas and they're in Great America over there, off the by the amusement park. Always hate the Niners. Captain Jack, any last words for us?
No, thanks again for allowing me to be here. Be sure to, if you're watching this live or even if you're watching a tape, subscribe to the gentleman there. You got Cage Match, you got the channel, you got a great time ahead of you. You got great Raider and football knowledge with those two guys. And I'll try to come in and entertain in the only way that I can when I can.
Reno Rick.
We'd love to have you.
All right. With that said, all right, Raider Nation, peace out. Next time in the cage match, we're going to talk about going against the Niners, whether it's preseason, doesn't matter. It's going to be a first football game. We're going to see silver and black. We're going to see our team out there at home in Vegas. I can't wait. It feels like it's coming up real quick, but it took so long to get here. So, all right, with that said, good night, Raider Nation. Thank you, Captain Jack. For Asylum, for Captain Jack. Oh, yeah. Have a good night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you bastards, fucker. Ah.
And with that, I want to play our last words. Oh, I'm sorry. Our last, how does it go? A last message from Raider Milt, my old football coach. Rest in peace. This is how we feel, Raider Nation. Good night.
All you other NFL teams, your tailgates are weak. Your teams are weak. We might be down right now, but it doesn't take away the history. And all you Raiders out there need to know your fucking history of who the fuck you playing for and where the fuck you're playing. Damn it. Oh, and by the way, I won my last cage fight again. I'm still undefeated. And you NFL motherfuckers out there that you think you want some, come on and get some anytime.